Hey guys, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Kitty, you gotta move over. I know. Hang on, guys. He's mad.
How's everyone doing?
You say Merry Christmas? Okay.
Sit now.
Hello, Jess, Lex. You guys ready for Santa Claus? I'm gonna wave at him.
Hello,
as he
guys.
flies by. Hello.
Oh, Santa.
Yep. Gonna wave at him. Might even get a couple torches lit.
Light the torch for Santa.
Tell you guys, I don't have anything planned for this live, but I do have a good interview that we can listen to. And then, guys, did you know that there is a whole world out there, an incel community? I'm talking, this goes back years.
Yep.
Where
I
they
just
get
found out.
I knew about incels, but did I know? Well, you know what? You should have just probably have figured, they all have their own dark web things. You could sell organs. You could probably buy babies. Then you've got the pedos that have their little deal probably. You probably got the STs that got their little deal. But to think these incels, I found a great video. It's very short. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what else I noticed? Is because, I'm nuts with the digging, guys, and researching into, like, different things than trying to figure out what brown car is driving down freaking King Road at 3 a.m. with the lights on. Like, I don't have time for that. Did you know that most of them, though, are the mass murder incels? They always usually use a gun.
Oh, they do?
Well, think about it. Parkland shooting. Actually, guys, my youngest was in that area for school, Coral Springs, but she didn't go to Parkland. She went to Coral Springs High, but I had friends there. Yeah, the kid that shot up the parade on 4th of July, an incel. Cruz from Parkland, an incel. Hey, Pippi. Let's think of some more. People that just didn't fit in and decided, I'm just going to go out there and shoot them up.
Mostly all, I guess. Like the Unabomber, he was a loner.
Yeah, the Unabomber was a loner, but I don't know too much about an incel. I mean, he could have been. He was a very smart man.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of them, like the ones that now, but the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, he was not. But the Q something that just happened, that kid was. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like some are and some aren't.
Yeah.
But I did not know how deep this community was, the incel. We're going to have to go explore into it tonight and see if I wonder if he is in part of that group. Because Chisme, let's start with that video. You want to drop it in private chat about the guy from the food truck saying that he's in that community? Hello, Marietta.
I'm
Merry
looking
Christmas.
for it right now.
Yeah, do you guys remember the guy at the food truck? The big guy? What was his name? Joe?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm trying to find it right now.
Yeah, I think it's just absolutely. I never knew. Joe V.
Okay, I think
Absolutely,
this
that
is it.
was the name. I didn't know his last name. Didn't even know it started with a V. Hey, Kiwi.
I just saw this today, but I'm sending it to you.
Guys, I'm really not trying to sound like the Grinch, but I cannot wait. That's why I'm like, let me go live, and then I'll sleep most of the day tomorrow since all of the. I could be. I'm not a grandma, but I could be. Okay, they're all south. They got their own thing going on, and there's no traveling going on. So I'm just sitting up here in like 8-degree weather. Got my
Poor
mom
thing.
here. I don't even think that she will probably remember that tomorrow's Christmas. Bless her heart. God, I love her to death.
Okay, I sent it.
All right, so let's go look at this real quick.
Not to throw y'all off, but they found a human skull here in San Antonio today.
Oh, wait a second. Really?
Yep.
Where did they?
But they found this skull over on the northwest side, going out towards.
Is
It's
that where
going out
Lena
towards
comes from?
El Paso. No, she was in the north. It was in the northwest, but it was more of the middle, the central north. But
And
this is on the far west.
And who in that area do we know is missing?
Well, is that going
Bandera?
out towards Bandera? No, it's not going out towards. It is. It'll take you there too. But they said this skull was very bleached, and they think it's been out there for 2 years. And it's going to be hard to get a DNA because of the heat exposure, sun exposure. Same as that other skull.
There's no teeth in the head?
Well, they didn't say that, but they did say that when it's sun bleached, that it takes they may not be able to get DNA. Like the other skull they found, they can't get DNA, and they're trying to find out if that's that older lady Maria.
Ah.
So
it's in the
be
area where Maria went missing.
The first skull.
Horrible.
And the second skull is way over there on the northwest, going towards El Paso.
We'll have to, or hopefully we'll figure out soon who it is. Maybe tomorrow we'll see who went missing in that area.
Yeah.
Crime Stories Obsessed. I don't even know if I know this person.
Yeah, she has an accent.
Do. Well, I'm subscribed, so I must know this person. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get the link, and I will drop it in chat, and then I will put it in the description after. Let's go to 1.25. I have not seen this. Is that Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go, guys. Hey, Dragonette.
Today we're going to be talking about another possible suspect.
Hey, no way.
After the 4 students were found murdered in their home on 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. Many people have come up in conversation as possible witnesses, possible suspects in the case. Recently, we were looking into a white Elantra that police said was passing the area around about the time of the crimes, and they felt that they had some knowledge of maybe who it was that was involved in this crime. And then a lot of us have recently seen the grub truck footage that was streamed on Twitch from the early hours of the 13th of November, with the girls buying food along with the men that were stood there, and everybody has been a focus of attention. But today we're going to speak about Joe. He first came into question when we saw this footage from the grub truck. He is the bigger guy. He's wearing the brownie beige cap, and he seems to be staring at Kaylee. He seems to be staring at the girls, And to me, after watching this, I was not overly impressed with the way that he was acting. I'm sure they've all been out, they've all been drinking. It was said that he'd also been at the corner club. Whether there'd been any conversation between him and the girls at the corner club, I do not know. But at the grub truck, you can see him watching the girls, moving around so that he's putting himself in front of people, almost to block their path, staring at them, but for longer than is necessary just to look at someone and think, oh, she's nice. The long stares. And it's obvious from this footage that Kaylee is aware of this situation. At one point, her and Maddie kind of get together and it's like they're talking, possibly saying something about this guy with the cap on, who we have been told his name is Joe. So at one point, Maddie even gets frustrated and shouts something over to him, which sounds like,
no.
F you, mister. Whether that's because he's made some snide comment or whether it's just because he's staring and making them feel uncomfortable, whether it's because he is actually this stalker person that Kaylee has mentioned previously.
Wait a second. She doesn't say the F you to Joe.
I know, but this lady said she did. I can't tell.
Yeah,
I know
but
she's pointing in that direction.
Yeah, but I thought she said it to the hoodie boy, aka we still have no clue if it really is Showwater.
Mm-hmm.
People keep saying it's him. I have yet to hear.
He was talking
So
to
she
that
did,
guy.
Marietta. So she said it to Joe. Okay. People have so many different things on what goes on with this part that's why I stay out of it and just go and watch other creators that I like. I like to dig into the other parts.
We don't know. But he then took to TikTok in order to speak about the grub truck video, in order to kind of release himself from any wrongdoing or suspicion. But after watching this a couple of times, the thing that got me was that he is looking up a lot. Now, he's looking up in order to remember an event. He's looking up to remember a memory of something that happened that night. But then he looks to the right, and he looks to the right a lot. Now, that is usually when you're lying. You look to the right when you are lying. You look to the left when you are telling the truth. And when he's talking about his daughter towards the end of the TikTok, he seems to be looking more to the left. He's telling
Where's
the
this
truth.
TikTok?
He's looking up. He's remembering an event. But as soon as he's talking about the girls, he's constantly looking right. I do feel that this guy is for beginners. Experienced people stay.
Okay, wait. Where is Joe's TikTok? See, I remember when she was in the Cctv and they were playing the where you could hear them, the one from Matt's channel. Yeah, you guys really think she was telling Joe that?
She was pointing in their direction because he was talking to Joe, but then they were saying that Joe and
wait a second, Chisme, you got like a hey Bernadette, Merry
what
Christmas.
again?
A little bit. It's like
maybe it's my heater. Hold on.
No.
Now?
Nope, it's gone.
Okay, it's gone?
Nope, it's there. Whatever you changed. Hang on a second, guys. Okay, now I gotta go see something.
How's that?
Perfect.
Oh, okay. They were saying that that guy Joe and the one we think is Jack Showwater, that they were talking about her, making fun of her because she was drunk, and then that's when she pointed at someone. F you, mister. That some people say it was Joe and some people say it was Jack.
But that, and we have to remember too, this was before What is Matt's YouTube channel's name? Does he change the name all the time?
I don't know. Which Matt?
Matt, our Matt that comes in here.
Oh, I don't know.
Hang on one second, guys. Yeah, what is that behind you? Is that your heater?
No, I don't have anything on.
Huh.
You still hear it?
Yeah.
I think my mic is breaking, but now? How about if I go out and come back in?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's not. I can understand you fine.
There's nothing on?
It's just like a. It's like a. It's okay. One second, guys. Let me find this real quick because now I'm curious. And I just watched his video the other day, and I'm actually still trying to understand what I watched. Oh, that's bad. Okay, I think it stopped. Did she go out? Nope. All right, one sec, guys. I'm in the YouTube looking for something. Whew. Man, I watch a lot of YouTube. Holy shit. Where is it? Kiss me, you there?
Yeah, I'm working on my mic. How does that sound?
That sounds okay. Nope. Did you change something?
No, but my mic's getting real loose. The cord is. I need a new one.
What is I can't find it. All right, forget that. I'll look for it afterwards. But I was talking about their surveillance where we can hear them talking, and then they've got the closed caption. But see, at that point too, we did not see that second CC that came out that shows them all together, right before they got to the food truck. Hey, GB, Merry Christmas. Right? You know? When was the video of them walking and Kaylee asked Maddie what she told Adam, and then she said, I told Adam everything. Was that before going? That was going to the food truck.
Yeah, that was going to the truck.
Hey, Millie. Oh, yeah. You know, like, I don't know. So where do they talk about Joe talking about him being an incel?
It's there, but it's further on.
Is it Joe talking?
No, that lady she went and dug into his Facebook and she got some information, and then there's some initials on there, and she looked it up, and it's a group of incels. It's their group. How does this mic sound? I'm gonna have to grab another one that's by my equipment.
It's okay. It just has like a little. It's okay. It's not annoying.
I kind of hear it like a little motor. That one?
God, you know what, guys? I absolutely love Chisme. Millennial generation. Hello. Merry Christmas to you too.
I
All
do
right.
hear something, but I think I'm making it worse. I'm gonna grab the
Yeah.
other mic.
All right.
I'm listening.
All right. So, guys, let's watch this latest one on surviving the survivor that he put out. It's got the one guy on it again. Up here on the right. And of course, look who it is. It's John Gillian. And you know I love him. And I have not seen this one yet, so we'll just watch it until they get to the questions. But I'm curious where they are now and what they're talking about. And then I'm going to look why this is playing and listening, but I'm going to see if I can find this incel.me and see what kind of incel groups are collaborating in the Moscow area. That was pretty scary. And this video that I'm going to share, I mean, this has been going on for years that they considered this group incels, and to think that they have their own huge community. Absolutely. I mean, a lot of them were married. BTK, I mean, people just had like two faces. All right, let's get into this. Let's try 1.25. See if we can pull it off.
23 years of his life as a homicide detective in the Houston Police Department, investigating more than 400 homicides.
Can you guys hear that okay? This is going to be interesting with these two together. Since she's not answering me. Exactly, Dragonette. Exactly. Now, like I said last night, it's really hard to find, people that have been kicked out of the military. But I've been looking through articles in the closest base. Guys, I've been doing the craziest things. Looking in next town for like 3 years back for peeping toms. Like, I swear I think I'm the FBI and all I am is a barber. Can you guys hear this when I played it? Because Chisme's not talking to me. Okay, I'm going to play it. If you can't hear it, let me know. Because chat's not going for me.
Side cases, including sadly one that took the life of his good friend and fellow police officer. Detective Waters is also a Marine and the owner of Kindred Spirits Investigations and starred in the show The Interrogator. The man with the poster that says "Shoot No More" is Jonathan Gilliam. He's a career public servant with over 20 years of service as a Navy SEAL, an FBI special agent, a federal air marshal. He's done private security. He's been a contractor. He's been a police officer. He has done it all, and he's also an author of the book "Sheep No More," hence the poster behind his shoulder, and a kid's book. Believe it or not, that scary man has written a kid's book, "The Adventures of Team Little Big." So welcome to both of you. Quick housekeeping notes. We are found anywhere podcasts are listened to. People have been asking about that. If you want a newsletter, drop it in the comments.
And got a court order news that these internet. It's an unfortunate consequence of
about defaming people. To be a suspect of the homicides that claimed the life of 4 U of I students, and claimed beyond that this professor was having some sort of sexual relationship with Kaylee Gonzalez.
I might as well stay up all night because I got such a big mouth. Dragonette, it is so funny you said that, because I've been looking so deep that I found that. And I wonder, I was telling them, I wonder if that creeper is in the 4chan. NB, I was just looking for your damn channel. I couldn't find it to save my life. Okay. There's Matt, guys. See, he changes his name. Now it's MB. That's why I couldn't find it.
MB
okay.
Incorporated. Can you hear me? Better?
Yeah.
Still hear that noise?
Yeah. Do you have a boost on your microphone?
Boost?
Yeah. It sounded great when you started. If you changed anything, that's what happened.
Now?
A little bit. Like that. But it's not annoying. It's okay. Because when you're talking, it's really not there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, let me work on it a little bit more.
Yeah, just mute your mic during the videos, because when you talk, it's not bad. Yeah, Dragonet, we're going to get into that. We are going to, yep. Crazy. Absolutely insanity.
So, Phil,
I'm going to grab a drink, guys, real fast and change my mic out too. Be right back.
To you first, you need to be careful, especially if you're a cyber sleuth, about defaming people. Is that right?
Oh, of course. And this is one of the offshoots of something like this, where you have a person who is obviously involved in the true crime network or community of people and gets off on some crazy conspiracy theory and has no foundation in that other than what is going on in their head. And of course, this causes a great deal of angst for this person that's now suing them, and draws a lot of attention, unnecessary attention to that person. And it's just, it's an unfortunate consequence of this type of atmosphere and environment.
And Jonathan, obviously this person has no investigative background of the nature that you and Phil bring to the table, which is decades of experience. Apparently she was using tarot cards in other readings. But again, this is just an example of how things can go awry quickly when people out there think that they're you guys as investigators with real experience, right?
Oh, we use tarot cards all the time. Actually, I use Uno cards when I try to figure it out. No, I think here this is interesting. I think we talked about this before, is that there's a dynamic that is occurring now, especially in this case, that it's happened before, but it's really amping up, where these online sleuths are actually feeding the media, and the media is responding to these really salacious nothings. Like they had the body cam of one of the officers who stopped. I mean, it doesn't take a genius investigator to figure this out. He stops 4 young guys that are going through this field. There's a party going up there. And then you can see in the background about 4 more people walk through the light. And it was all over the news that these internet sleuths had found these other individuals walking through the light. I mean, they're probably the same thing that the cops just stopped. It's there were a massive amount of parties going on at that time. So what's happening is that the media is not turning to law enforcement anymore for headlines. They're going to internet sleuths, and all this stuff is getting pushed up, and they report it as though it's fact. And then when you read the story and you see where it came from, there's nothing there. So that seems to be happening a lot. And then, as I've been critical of the Gonzalez family, that's another aspect of it. I've seen families in the news before that have, been in the news constantly. I know when O.J. Simpson killed Nicole Brown Simpson, her dad was in the media a lot, but he was trying to point out facts. He was trying to push the prosecution forward and trying to get the public on board with the reality of what happened. But he did it in a way that was not it didn't give away facts about the case. And I think when we see the Gonzalez father in particular, what we've seen is a similar thing as with these online sleuths, where they're giving out information that could hurt the investigation. They then went inside and got a court order. I don't know if they even got a court order. If the police department just said, go on in and take stuff out of the house. So they have both physically injured the crime scene and done the same thing with sleuths, where they're getting reported for all these facts that haven't been validated by police.
Phil, what do you think about what Jonathan just had to say?
Well, I would agree with him 100%. I just kind of wanted to piggyback on what he had said, and the aspect of people getting involved in this thing. And he's exactly right when he talks about now the media is going to these online sleuths and kind of
That is so funny. We were just saying that before I started this video. Kaza Boo Boo. Hello, Mark. Happy holidays, everyone. I mean, it could be Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. You back, Chisme? Kaza Boo Boo. You got the key. See? That's why I'm not going with all of these drive-bys and why they took Xana's car out of the pound. Probably because it's been cleared and her family wants the car. I mean, stop looking so into this. This is an incel. I've been telling you guys since week 2. You guys got to listen to me. It's not Jack. Well, like I said, I still wouldn't be surprised if Enon got arrested, but I think they would have known already. Look at how his eyebrow goes up on the bottom right. I like him.
What law enforcement is now telling them, and the communication between law enforcement and the media and the public, at least in my estimation, has become much better since the beginning of this. So they finally have refined the delivery of the message, and they are being a little bit more disciplined about what they say in front of these microphones. Now, the media for years, there's nothing new what's going on today. And I face this a lot, especially involved, often involved shootings, where we have a lot of facts that are being stated or shared, but they're not telling the truth. So when we talk about this video that Jonathan talked about, the 4 individuals behind the scene, and it was put out as though it was some sort of big discovery about these online sleuths. And look, law enforcement they're the ones that released the video, for crying out loud. Don't you think that they probably saw the 4 people walking around behind there? So again, a statement of facts without telling the truth.
I got to change my mic out.
And it goes on continually, especially in a high profile.
I don't want you to hear it.
Homicide like this. So with regards to Mr. Gonzalez, I agree too with Jonathan. Look, I do understand what that man is going through. I've got 2 daughters. I have a son. And I have dealt with families that have had their family members ripped from them by an act of violence. I have prayed with those families. I have been in their presence when they have broken down in front of me. So I do understand what he is feeling. The other side of that is that he doesn't give anything. He doesn't contribute anything to the investigation when he stands up in front of these microphones and starts to voice his opinion about what he thinks is going on. It's just not beneficial to the investigation, and he seems to have ratcheted that back a little bit here lately, and I'm just hoping that excuse me, that's a result of better communication between the investigators and the families.
I have a feeling it's because you got an attorney. That attorney.
If you want to screw something up, hire an attorney, right? So, right. I'm with William Shakespeare on that. First, we kill all the attorneys. First, we kill all the
Jonathan, I know you were vocal about Stephen Gonzalez. The father has been in the media more than most think he should be. Any further thoughts before we move on, just to give you the floor on that?
Well, I'm glad that they finally stopped talking so much, but I thought it was very interesting because they just transitioned to using the attorney to say the very same things. One day, the attorney came out.
Hey, Kaz.
Hi, gorgeous. How are you?
I am good. Merry Christmas. Tell the family, Mel, Ross, Stinky Butt, and the fiance. And Merry Christmas.
I will. Mel, Dave, Ross, and my sister's here. Ma and the rest of the people in chat say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Aw. Okay, let's go back into this video. See, guys? Oh, I even think that there's gonna be an arrest soon. I feel it.
And said and integrated some comments that Gonzalez had said before about how the police department was inept. But then the next day he comes out and says that the coroner should be quiet and is saying too much. So it's like, there's what people have to understand.
Mark, yeah, that's good, especially if you've got some incels in that fraternity, because there's a whole underground world of these people. I'm going to show you guys a video after this. It's absolutely scary. Scary.
Understand is that investigations are only going to move as fast as there's evidence coming in. It doesn't matter how inept the Moscow Police Department is. There's 40 other people out there doing some investigation of some sort. If there was massive evidence coming in, they would want to solve this problem because otherwise they're going to lose a tremendous amount of people and never come back to that university. So they want to solve the problem. I think there may be egos there, but I don't think that they're trying to not solve it. And so when the family comes out and they say these things, it does disrupt the investigation, and it also causes them to start trying to be more politically correct. And on the other side of that, I still stand by what I said about his behavior. And I would hope, for the sake of the investigation, that any family member is questioned and cleared. There's just.
You see, Matt, that's not true. That's not true. What John Gillen said was that everything that Steve was saying to the media, and Kaz, correct me if I'm wrong, he said that an old friend of his that is a captain, sergeant, whatever, lieutenant, called him and said that Steve looked like he could be the person. Not that he was, but just because he was talking so much. John only told Steve to stop talking so that there could be justice and the perpetrator doesn't know what the hell everyone else knows.
Yeah, he did say that, yeah.
That's what was said, Matt. He never accused the father. He said that his captain friend called him and said, man, he sounds like the murderer because he's talking too much. Not that he is. Nobody thinks that Kaylee's father did anything to them.
Too often that family members kill their own family members. And so I don't know why we shouldn't, from an investigative standpoint, why we shouldn't look and clear these people.
Moving on to the kind of the news of the day to get your reaction. And then I promise Saturdays are all about taking viewer questions and comments. And we have a bunch for these two men to respond to. Chief Fry was interviewed by Brian Enton of News Nation, who is a friend, for full disclosure. And he asked the chief the other day.
Oh my God, Matt, yes, everybody should be cleared. They have to clear everybody. The family, Ethan's twin brother, the boyfriends. Yes, I get that. He's a tough cookie. I like him.
Yeah. Ma, before you go on, sweetheart, before you go on, I'm getting evil eyes from my daughter.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh!
Why?
Oh! You said I could come up.
I said it's Christmas.
Oh. Well. Oh, well, now I'm getting called a liar. All right.
Well, I'll kick her off soon, Mel.
She's going to kick me off anyway. All right. Keep going, doll.
All right.
Is the killer still in the area? Flat out asked him. The response was, and I quote directly here, "We are not disclosing any of that. Some of that we just don't know at this point." Phil, to you, you're the man who knows how to crack suspects, the interrogator. How do you read that? That we're not disclosing that, and at the same time he says some of that we just don't know.
Well, that's a question that there's not a right answer to, right? So that's the question of when Joel, when did you stop beating your wife? Right. So right. So the chief is responding to try to answer both sides of what that question might mean, and I think he did. He said what he could say in a way that, look, we're not going to disclose that information if we have it. So he said the one thing and then he qualified what he just said. So I think his response was completely appropriate.
Sounds like a politician a little bit, but that's
well, you know what I mean. These things you've got to be able to convey a message without compromising what you have going on, and so I don't know that I would call it a political answer. I think it's the proper answer given the circumstances.
I was a slight kid, but I understand and I agree with you. And obviously they've got to keep everything close to the vest. KTVB out of Boise, Idaho, local television and local news breaks a lot of stories I thought this was interesting. I just wanted to run it by you guys and see if this is what you would expect. But the chief says he starts his day with multiple briefings at 7 a.m. As more information and tips come in throughout the day, more meetings follow. He says that every resource is being utilized to its full ability. Teams are working over the holidays, and investigators are driven by the need to bring closure to the families. And he went on to say, I'm very confident that we're going to solve this. We've heard the rumors that this case has gone cold. This case has not gone cold. We've been hearing people say that we don't have the right people. I'm telling you, we have the right people in place. We have the right resources. We have the right individuals, and we have a lot of experience. And he went on and on. Jonathan, any of this stand out, or is this sort of what you would expect the chief of police in Moscow to tell people?
I think what we're hearing from that chief is our sound bites from a chief who's never had to be in front of the camera before. And you know, I'll go back to what Phil was saying there. You know, this is political, right?
Really
politics, they push all these investigations one way or the other. If you have a family that's connected, or in this case, you have a smaller police department that exists in a town where it's, you know, it thrives from the university and the business of that university, it is political. So you do have to make your statements in a way that are not going to cause the city, the university, the politician to get angry. You're working from his standpoint, all these different angles, while you're trying not to give away information. And at the same time, maybe put little things in there to try to pull a killer forward to say something or do something. So what I would like to see with this chief do more is give more of a positive spin on it. Because you know how you were in media, I was in media, and you have to own the airwaves. You have to own that soundbite. And I would like to see him describe more about how this is working. You know, a lot of the questions that I've been asked is, should they step aside and let the state police?
Well, J.A., I have always compared this person to Danny Rollin, but I do believe this person is an incel. Probably has the same personality traits as Enon, the fire stick thrower, that wants to be involved, but he's a hermit and an introvert. Yeah, I really pray to God they solve this before the end of the year.
Or the FBI. Everybody loves to say, let the FBI take over. Well, the FBI doesn't just roll in and, like the movies, and take over. So I'd like to see this this chief kind of divert these questions and just go back to the fact that we have a task force. Things are being cataloged and they're gone through, and we have diligent investigators are going to be here over Christmas and New Year's, ready to take in and investigate things. I think if he gives that spin on it, what it does is it gives confidence to the people around that they are really working this, and they're not inept or so political that it's not going anywhere. I think that's where he could improve that.
Phil, you shook your head no about the FBI coming right in. You want to add it?
Well, only because of people saying it.
Yeah.
You know, to address what Jonathan was just talking about in regarding to the political aspect of it, I would agree with that definition of the politics of this thing. The chief, from the very beginning of this thing, from the first time, clearly overwhelmed with what he had seen and what he was aware of what had happened. So, and like Jonathan just said, look, this is an experience that this chief, in whatever his time in law enforcement, and certainly as the chief of police in Moscow, has never experienced anything like this, ever. And you're talking about a college town of 28,000 people. You've got a police force of 36 sworn and support personnel. They had 7 homicides in the last 15 years in Moscow, Idaho. They had 4 in one night. So this is completely out of their wheelhouse. And so the chief I think, is being criticized inappropriately based on the circumstances he's been thrust into. Now, I will say that from that point forward, the communication has gotten better, I think. I've done these pressers, these high-profile cases. I know what the pressure is. And so I have an understanding of what he's trying to accomplish. And I think he is getting better at that. They've also had some of the questions go to the captain there, and then they've had some to a PIO who's also been involved as well. I think the chief has to be very, again, disciplined about what he says out there. And I agree with Jonathan. It needs to be, whatever his response is, it needs to have a positive spin to it. I get really irritated when I hear this nonsense about the cases going cold. Let me tell you something. Cold cases do not become cold cases until a criteria is met. And I can tell you for the Houston Police Department, and I don't think it's much different around the country, but for a case to go cold at the Houston Police Department Homicide Division, you've got to have that case for 3 years, and every lead, every clue, every piece of evidence has been exhausted, and you've hit the wall, and there's nowhere else to go with it. That is what defines a cold case, and then it is delivered to the cold case unit for further follow-up if there's something else that comes up later on, new information. So I know it sounds very television-like. I know it sounds very spectacular to say the case is going cold, and I keep hearing this over and over again. And that is a bad term to use. It does not support a positive, and what Jonathan was talking about, the positive things that are going on in this investigation. So to keep suggesting over and over again, this case is going cold. They're only a month into this thing. They've been given what they've been given. They have hundreds of pieces of evidence, everything from DNA stuff to trace evidence to physical evidence. They have, what is it now that counts 15,000 clues coming in on the internet, through the phone lines, through emails, and they've added. I think I read where they've added some agents to this thing. And look, there are so many moving parts in a very complicated investigation. And when I shook my head about the FBI involvement in this thing, people need to understand this happened in the city of Moscow, Idaho. Moscow, Idaho PD is the lead agency in this investigation, and they will remain that. The state comes in and the FBI comes in at the request of the chief of police in Moscow PD. So they are there because at least they had enough wisdom and foresight, because they knew this was way, way above their experience level, and they needed this support and the resources that these other agencies bring to the table. I just saw an article today where they had an FBI agent up, or a former FBI agent, addressing this. Why doesn't the FBI take it over? Well, it's like Jonathan said, it's not Die Hard. Gentlemen, I give you the FBI. I mean, it just doesn't happen that way. And because it is a jurisdictional question here, and there is no federal nexus to this investigation. And so they're there for support, but the Moscow PD will remain the lead agency in the investigation.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Jonathan, I'll give you a chance to jump in real quick. Law and Crime is reporting right on the heels of what Phil just mentioned, that now the FBI, Jonathan.
Hey, Carolina. What do you guys think? What do you think, Chisme? Guess I'm all alone again. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think they know what they're doing now? And they're on to something?
I think they're on to something. How does this sound? How's it sound?
Good.
Okay.
Interesting.
I sent the minute time of where that lady says the group name for the incels.
Okay. We're only going to watch it. Yeah, we're only going to watch 10 more minutes of this, and then he gets into the questions.
They're prioritizing them and then delegating them for investigation. Is that what you'd expect, Jonathan?
Yeah, so I think what is occurring here with the Moscow Police Department is they're using what the FBI does best, which is not just put investigators out there, but they build a task force. So that's what the FBI is really good at, is coming in and facilitating what the locals don't have so they can build a task force. And one of those things is a massive call center, which I'll be honest with you, I don't have a lot of faith in because I've dealt with them before. And they're basically 911 operators without the 911 operator experience that comes with working in a city like Houston. So I'm not real stoked about, but still they're bringing a task force in there along with state police and all. And you got to remember, when they say the FBI is there with investigators, the FBI is not just FBI agents, it's a task force. So you may have ICE agents that are there, you may have DEA, all these different entities that have the abilities to reach out in different ways. They come along with the task force. So that's the thing that's really interesting about this. What I was going to say was two things. One, the story that I think Phil's referencing, that was me. I think I got interviewed yesterday by Fox, and that's what we were talking about, how if this went over state lines, if they show that this is a serial killer or that the killer, we have evidence that it went over state lines, now the FBI would have some type of jurisdiction in investigating that. They may actually do an investigation side by side with Moscow PD. But Moscow PD, for this murder right now, this is their jurisdiction, and they own that whole scene. So if they wanted to step out of the way, they could and allow state police. And so they then take a backseat role. But I can guarantee you, no prosecutor is going to want that. No chief of police is going to want that.
No,
they want that. I mean, that's why they're in that job. But the other thing I was going to say, one other thing about these press conferences that I wish we could get this information to that chief is that he needs to stop doing on the fly pressers where he's standing in the parking lot by himself or up against a wall talking to one reporter. They need to have a podium. They need to have whoever's there from the FBI and the state police, and they give their briefs then like that. These one-off briefs look so small town or like
amateurs. Yeah, they look amateurish.
Yeah, they're very amateurish. And I'm sure Phil would back me up on that. I mean, you would never see something like that from the Houston Police Department. Never.
And is that just because of optics? You want to at least give the impression that you know what you're doing. And I'm not saying that they don't know what they're doing, but like you said, it comes off small townish, right? So Phil, is that to give the feel like Houston PD? If this, God forbid, happened in Houston, like Jonathan suggested, you'd have daily briefings. There would be a podium. It would be a lot more kind of professional. Yeah.
Well, I know we've had these things happen in Houston. I mean, I worked a triple homicide that was a high profile.
You know what? I have never thought about that. That's right. They should, every press conference that they have, they should be up there with the FBI agent in the lead, the chief of police. They should have Ethan, Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee's photos. Yeah, absolutely. The way that J.D. Huff does it with Monkey Vaughn.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, that's weird that he's just kind of like doing that little I never thought about that. Yeah, they should. Yeah, they need to switch that up. Make it more intimidating to the perpetrator.
File case in Houston. We've worked other multiple fatality killings. But I know in those cases now in Houston, the detectives would hold the presser, and the chief of police might come to the presser, say a few words before the questions were being asked by the media, and then he would step away from the podium and let the guys that are in the trenches doing the work answer the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and we were prepared. There were going to be questions that we were not going to answer, and there were questions that we were going to answer. If there was a question asked that the chief felt like he needed to respond to, then he would step back to the podium and he would respond to it and then turn it back over to the detectives. Or it might be the captain from the homicide division. Mm-hmm. So you might have a gold badge there just for that purpose, to convey that, look, this thing, we are in control of this. These are our guys doing the work. They're answering, and we presented to them the optics that we are competent in what we are doing. We are following every lead we can, and we are briefing the chief of police on what we are succeeding at and where we are in the investigation. And I think that's to what Jonathan's alluding to here, that those things have not been done in this case, only because you've got a chief who's been thrust into a worldwide event now at this point, and he's never been in that house before. He's never been in that position before. And he's learning as he goes. This is OJT stuff for this chief on this thing.
Phil, also with that, the coroner is giving their own interview.
Yeah.
The prosecutor.
Yeah, let's bypass the coroner. You're correct, Mark. I agree with you. We were talking about that weeks ago, talking about wondering why if I'm yelling, guys, sorry, I'm like totally almost over my cold, but my ears are still a little clogged. Am I yelling?
No, you're good.
Okay. And we were saying like we couldn't understand why they released the weapon, and not only it being a knife, but maybe a K-bar, military style. I've heard Rambo, this and that. But what were they leaving out? And I think what they were leaving out is I think that there was some type of essay like we spoke about last night. because the majority of the incels are
Yeah.
impotent. It's the truth. I'm gonna show you
The
this.
Mark says these cops, everyone would love to handcuff a suspect. Yeah, like someone said today, how they said it's harder to get a conviction than an arrest.
Yeah, but
Something
also
like
what
that.
I'm saying too that is I think that they left whatever part out they left out because I kept talking about it and saying that might be to piss off the killer so that he starts trying to contact the police because he wants to be recognized and they're not talking about everything he did. Yeah, I felt like that too, Mark, for a long time.
What would cause the gouges? Uh, uh, what did that? Someone mentioned that last time. It was like a
They, they were like tears, like somebody put the
yeah,
knife in and drug it down and
like a
opened up the
poker.
body.
Yeah, like a poker or that serrated edge, twisted it. I don't know. That's disgusting.
Well, Brenda, we're not targeting incels or anything like that. We're going off of what the profiles are talking about. And then, of
Yeah.
course, Joe at the food truck said that he's involved in the group, an incel community in Moscow. So we're looking into everything.
Hmm.
We are not labeling anybody. But my opinion, Brenda, is that the person that did this is definitely an incel. But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
If you don't have
Everyone.
that opinion, I respect your opinion. I don't argue. I love everyone to have their own opinion, but that's my opinion.
Yeah. Everyone's free to voice their opinion here.
Yep, we all get along. We
Even
all
my
don't.
outrageous ones.
Yep, we don't get mad at each other for their own opinions. We absolutely love everyone's opinion. But that's just where I'm coming from.
Everyone's
Came
welcome.
and gave his own
Yes.
interview. I mean,
Yep.
this isn't the way these things work because
No.
also, Marine, SEAL, we do the thing, and the Bureau hated when I used to do this, but
Oh my gosh.
because they
Yeah.
said we're law enforcement, we don't do this. But I believe in
Yeah.
time hacks. If the phone system goes down and you got your watch and everybody's on the same time, well, then you're going to be more uniform, and your mind is just thinking as a team. When you do these briefs together, you're a team. But if you have, the elected
There you
corner
go.
and this person.
Marietta, I wish and I pray that's the case. Hey, Money Moves, I hope you're feeling good. Merry Christmas. But also,
Hello.
when Steve Gonçalves said that the liver was ruptured and her lungs, yeah, I think, and them saying that they did not basically die the same way. Yes, they were stabbed or um, killed with a knife, but they didn't have the same wounds. Just which you would probably automatically assume, allegedly, Kaylee was the target.
Monkey moves. I mean, Money Moves says that her test came back possible indicative of possible congestive heart failure. Oh, I'm praying for you. Hope you're feeling good.
We're gonna pray for you, Money Moves.
Yes. Amen.
I'm, uh, we never know what life is gonna hand us, guys.
The prosecutor over there,
Yeah.
it's just you don't know what they're going to say.
Well, that was I agree, Jonathan. Look, that when the coroner came out and said what she said, and then she's also a local defense attorney, criminal defense attorney, and she's got some client that stuck somebody with a knife or something 5 years ago. I mean, just off these bunny trails that have nothing to do with anything other than it makes good press. And then you have the prosecutor that got up and he said something, and then the law enforcement turned right around and countermanded what he just said. So, yeah, I know I agree with you completely. You've got to have one spokesperson up there. It needs to be a scheduled event, and let them get all their microphones up there and all the people there, answer the questions that can be answered. And then when it's over with, it's over with. And you only have it for a certain time frame. You don't just let this thing go on into perpetuity. You have this event.
Exactly like the Kylie Rodney. We had that lady that did every single press conference and then led the person who spoke. than Brian Laundrie. Hang on, guys. I'm going
that
to go off.
crazy guy.
Hang
It's
hang on.
Dragonet says it sounds like an axe or a spear. Yes, Jack had an axe, and it looks like Enan has kind of spear-like things.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, we're going to go 5 more minutes, and then they get into stuff that is questions and politics.
Go through it. We're going to do it for 30 minutes, and you're done, and you move on, and then you schedule the next one. But I agree with you completely. These reporters following this poor chief around everywhere he goes, and then sticking a microphone in his face whenever they have an opportunity.
Yeah, Enan has a staff.
It doesn't sit well with me, just having been in that position. I mean, even at a crime scene, even at a homicide scene, the media was held at bay until I got ready to go up there and give them their soundbite. So there has to be some discipline and some control over the media, and that's only done by the agency that's involved with it. So I agree.
Yeah, and I can tell you firsthand, on the flip side of that, as a reporter covering many of these cases, we would always defer to the police. There's always a perimeter set up. You never go over the crime tape. There's a media staging area, and you do wait for the police, especially if it's a high-profile case. There's a respect factor there. But just to underscore, because I can see some hate mail coming our way from keyboard warriors, I don't think in any way Phil or Jonathan are saying that the police are not doing the work and they're not competent. All they're saying is that there's a more professional way to handle the optics of what they're doing, but it doesn't have to do with the police work itself. Phil, there was something else that came out from WTVB in Boise, Idaho, and this is just to show, look, these guys are human beings. Chief James Fry is a person, just like the 4 of us, or 3 of us, sorry. I saw a double for a moment. And he said, he described it as a pit in your stomach, how he described getting the call from his captain that Sunday on November 13th, when all 4 students were pronounced dead after a 911 call around noon. The scene was bloody. A local coroner said it looked like the students had been sleeping at the time of the attack. Fry was away for the weekend with his wife and said he immediately drove back to 2.5 hours. A plan, he said, was already in place. But that line, a pit in your stomach, I know you had the awful, dubious job of trying to solve one of your friends' homicides, Phil. What is the feeling like for you? Not maybe because that's so close to home, but when you get a call in the middle of the night that there's been a brutal homicide, from a human standpoint, what does it feel like for you? Not just as an investigator, or do you have to compartmentalize and take that emotion away?
Well, I got those phone calls many times to make scenes in the middle of the night, and I always tried to prepare myself by being objective about, in terms of preparation of walking into the scene, being objective about what I was walking into. I didn't want to be predisposed to any kind of a conclusion, because I was going to get a briefing from the patrol officer that made that scene, and he's going to give me a kind of a briefing on what we have. Then we're going to walk in there, we're going to take a look at it. And at that point in time, the minute I crossed that threshold, I had to let the scene talk to me. And in terms of dealing with it, there may be a moment depending on the scene. I can only tell you that we made every dead baby case in the city of Houston that didn't die in a hospital. So I can tell you, having had 3 kids, walking into one of those scenes, or as a child, I can tell you that I'll use the chief's description. The pit in the stomach doesn't even begin to describe what that kind of realization is when you walk in there. You think you would be able to build a little bit of a wall, or harden that skin a little bit, but I can tell you that I've always said that I think we only had so many of those cases in us. So I can completely empathize with that chief and what he may have seen. I mean, look, we had Andrea Yates, several years ago, that drowned 5 of her children in the bathtub. Talk about a horrific scene. And I had a scene where an ex-HPD officer that had been fired.
My God.
Had shot his 5-year-old son in the back with a shotgun and drowned his 1.5-year-old son in the bathtub. So let me tell you, I walk into those scenes, and I will tell you, my description of that is I'm a Christ follower, and I can tell you that when I walked into those types of scenes, I felt like that I could hear the devil laughing and putting me in that situation and trying to challenge me on my faith. And so I've been there. I know what that chief is feeling, and I can tell you it is something that he will never forget.
Joe, can I add something to that? I love the way Phil's describing this, because as he's talking, I'm kind of reflecting back on some of the things I've seen and been a part of. And I reflect on 2 things as you talk about that. One is the body farm in Knoxville, Tennessee. I got to go to that. And there's approximately 175 bodies buried underground in different ways. And then over 100 bodies just laid out in different aspects.
Wow.
One would be half the body would be under a car and the other half would be out. There was one woman whose body was in just like one of the dumpster things, not a big dumpster, but the one you put your trash in and roll out to the street. She'd been in there for 14 months through the winter and 2 summers.
Oh,
so the smell and the overwhelming just observation.
14 months. And you know what, guys? Hang on. This is probably a trigger warning, right?
Yeah, it has been.
Oh, shit.
But that's where I found out about the cats. The cats do eat bodies from the body farm.
Oh gosh, you know what? I'm coming to Texas next weekend to you and I are gonna go on a live and we're gonna box like the kangaroos. All right, guys, couple more minutes. Ooh.
Impact that this had. The thing that I know that most listeners can identify with, I don't have any kids, but I have nephews and nieces where I've had to change their diaper before. You can't go into that changing the diaper with your nose wide open and
Ooh, hubba, no kids. You single over there, mister?
Without shutting something off in your brain, because you'll get sick to your stomach, So you shut your nose off, you shut your brain off, you do what you have to do, you clean it up, and then when the baby's all happy, then you give the emotion. And I think it's the same thing with this. There has to be, I learned this in the SEAL teams, but I also really refine this in Ranger School.
I agree.
There's a work you, and then there's the you that puts everything aside and lives their life. And good investigators can utilize both of those things, but all of them, no matter how hardened you are going to succumb to certain things sometimes. I've had good buddies who were part of the pedophile squad, and they had to leave that squad. Hardened guys, they could shut it off, concentrate on their job, take the emotion out of it, but it just got to a point where those images would pop into their brain and it would hurt them like mentally. So there's an aspect to all this police work investigating is just like a neurosurgeon or anybody else where you shut that off and you deal with what you have to do. And then hopefully when you turn your brain back on, you're not going to allow your emotions to push you forward. You're going to let the evidence push you forward.
And Jonathan, I think you bring up a really interesting point too. It's not just seeing the horrors that you and Phil have seen, but it's three-dimensional experience. You're getting the smell, and I remember.
Okay, I think that's it with the Idaho
campus house. So that unless the person's going to go murder
outcome and driving.
Nope.
Obviously, and you guys have seen some horrific things, and again, the chief saw some horrible things. So let's have some empathy for him. As far as the news goes on, I could talk to you guys for 3 hours, which we might end up doing today, make this a Joe Rogan experience. But Zana Kernodle's family,
here we go.
Mailed out 5,000 flyers to the tip lines. Phil, in your experience, is it sort of SOP for families to do this? Does it get in the way of people like you doing your police work?
Hey,
obviously,
Eric.
they want answers. We talked about the Gonzalez's, but Zana Kernodle's family wants answers too.
I don't know if it's SOP. I don't think it's uncommon. Sometimes I've had cases where the family really wanted to be involved in the process, and this was a way to allow them to do that. And look, to a degree, it is therapeutic. It keeps them at least thinking about some sort of a positive outcome and driving to that end. So I don't think there's anything untoward or inappropriate about them being involved at that level.
So there's some things that came up that aren't, what I would call typical news, but there's a story out there about the university server going down. It was down around the time of these murders. I don't know if either of you have heard this. I got to
Chisme, when were we talking about the dogs and why the dogs were not brought to that house?
I don't remember. I was remembering we saw this before. It's shown now.
No, we're talking about it on the live about the bloodhounds and why they didn't bring any dogs to the house.
We were wondering about it, and then I was wondering about the metal detector.
Oh, I agree, J.A. I also have not ruled out of my head that the person that skinned that dog is the same person. I just think that they're that. Hey, Mark, that might be one of the things that they're keeping away from one another to make the serial slash mass murderer mad. Hey, Karen. I don't know why they don't want to do a reward. Like we said, it's not like the people on the university do not know that 4 college students were killed. It's not going to make a difference. You can't shield that from the world, what happened.
Tip today.
Or maybe
with
they
a
already
screenshot
have enough money
saying
because
that
they're rich.
it was
Yeah, I really don't know the true answer to that, but I
Oh,
can't
the
imagine it
canine
being.
unit dog.
Yeah, I can't imagine it being because it's gonna make students not come to the university because believe me, they know. They know.
service. A lot of it's like Saturday nights into Sundays, servers go down. But apparently, according to reports, and this has not been corroborated, that would have included like surveillance cameras, on campus going down at these times. It just happened to be during the same window as the time of these 4 killings. Jonathan, is that concerning, or do you just take it at face value that this was probably routine maintenance?
So I never take anything at face value as investigator. I would, as dumb as it sounds, I would still have somebody just see who was involved with that and what was going on. But the chances of somebody in Moscow, Idaho, at the University of Idaho, having the ability to shut down all the cameras at the exact precise time when their cohort is going to go murder somebody. I mean, this isn't James Bond and this isn't the movies. I mean, this is, why would you want to do that with 4 people? What would be the motive to do that? And why would they need surveillance cameras? If that's the university, this was off campus house. So that, unless the person's going to go murder somebody and then run across campus with blood all over them, it doesn't really do any good. So I think these are things that the sleuths will jump on and they'll make a big deal out of this.
And that's the most important point. It was an off-campus house. Another thing that has come up quite a bit, I had a guest on, Scott Roeder, who's kind of a world expert in crime scene reconstruction. An interesting guy, but he was particularly miffed about the fact that I guess dogs weren't used at the onset. Phil, I don't really know if any dogs were used. Obviously, I wasn't there. From what we're hearing, they were not. But if you were running this investigation as a lead detective, you had who committed the crimes.
Well, the short answer is no.
Okay.
Would not have introduced dogs to a
Wow.
quadruple murder crime scene. There are times to use that type of resource, and there are times not to. For someone to second guess why dogs weren't, and I had seen this before on some of the commentary about why didn't they get a bloodhound in there and track down I mean, come on. So in that particular scene, you have so many different scents. You've got the victims, you've got the suspect or suspects, you've got the officers that showed up, you've got the crime scene people that showed up to process the scene. And I don't know whether or not they use the FBI evidence recovery team on this thing, but I would assume that they may have used those resources. So you've got all sorts of people coming in there to work this scene. I can tell you that because of the time frame involved as well. You've got this thing doesn't even get it. They believe it happened between 3 and 4 a.m., I think is what I've read, and they don't get the 911 call until around noon the next day. So you've got a lot of you have a lot of moving parts within the scene itself and different people moving in and out there. The thing is so talented that somehow be able to pick up the scent of the killer and follow them to their destination is just again, been watching too much television.
But Joe, Phil was a Marine, so would you suggest using cats?
No, Phil is a Marine.
Oh, well, that's right. Yeah, I'm so glad you corrected that.
I'm not
Well,
even
Jonathan, there's only 2 types of people in the world, right?
Yes, I know.
Those that want to be Marines and those that are.
There are.
Like I said, I'm not getting involved because if anything like that, I'm
That's
running
all right.
behind.
That's a friendly sister service back and forth.
I'm the first one to run behind you guys if anything happens. So another thing that was super interesting to me, because it was so obvious and I had never crossed my mind until I got this comment, but we're constantly hearing from cyber sleuths about Maybe it was this student, maybe it was that student, maybe it was the guy in the hoodie. What about in looking at professors, faculty, custodial staff? Phil, I would assume, again, if you're the lead detective on this, that's not something that you are omitting or leaving out.
Mark,
You're looking at
live in a
everybody
trailer.
as a possible suspect.
Well, sure you are. And look, and what Jonathan alluded to earlier, was talking about earlier, you're going to look at people, this kind of a crime scene, you're working from the inside out. And you've got to, the first place you're going to go are the people that are the most intimate relationships with these four folks, these four kids. And so, sure, you're going to go look at family, and then you're going to expand that, and then you're going to start working out. And of course, you're going to start find out who their professors were, what kind of relationship did they have with those professors? Is there anything to that? And the crime people that are on the internet and all that community of people, they do contribute. I don't want to put them in a negative light. They do contribute a lot of things to it, in the sense that they may be asking a lot of different questions. I never put anything of that to the side, because if I've got somebody, look, I'm the biggest poacher on the face of the planet when it comes to being able to investigate a homicide better than what I'm already doing. And if I see something on a real crime show, or I see something that's contributed by a person who's in that real crime community that I think I can use, by golly, I'm going to use it. So it's not always a negative thing. The problem is you have a few people that kind of make the whole community look a little crazy, because they come up with some insane conspiracy theories that even the real crime people that are involved in that, they don't buy into it. So it's kind of one of these, you're who you're associated with kind of a thing. So
they're also very emotional. This is a big problem with these online sleuths, is they're just like Twitter people who just want to fight and argue if you disagree with what they think. And when when I came up and said that this behavior, the family was odd, they need to be cleared. I mean, one guy, you can go look it up. He did on YouTube. He did an entire hour show. He's from Scotland, about how horrible I am. And it was the worst news hit he's ever seen when I was on Newsmax saying this. And a real investigator would take all these things into account, no matter how ridiculous they are. And they would vet these things. They would clear them. They aren't going to get emotional because, like Casey Anthony, there's another case right now, very similar to that, where the girl didn't report. I think it might even be in Texas, where the girl didn't report her missing 11-year-old. No, it's South Carolina for 21 days. She didn't report this, and they don't know where this girl is. So these things occur, and you have to be able to ask the hard questions and not freak out emotionally when it's not what you think it would be.
Right. And to what Jonathan's just said, it is as important to eliminate suspects as it is to find the right one. Right. So that's all part of the process. Everybody's looked at. And look, how many times, I can tell you my own experience, I've had a suspect and it was always let the evidence lead me where I need to be. I don't think someplace I want to go. It's always a journey for the truth. And I had a suspect, I was absolutely convinced it's a suspect. Then you have an epiphany and you go, you know what?
These two are great together, I think. Walters and Gillian. Yeah, I guess their reasoning for not having dogs is understandable, but we could all still sit here and say, well, you know what? You probably should have brought the dogs.
Yeah,
I mean,
in the very beginning.
We could sit
Mar,
say.
I learned something about the dogs, search dogs or any kind of dogs, and they hadn't been doing it here on the searches when they do have dogs. They first have the dogs smell all the searchers' shoes to make sure none of them have any type of evidence, and then after the search, they smell them again, all of the searchers' shoes, and because they might have stepped on a clue or something like that.
Huh. Oh, I don't know, David. We never heard about the dog. David said there was a dog day one.
Oh, there was? No,
I never saw a dog. They just said they didn't have dogs out there.
I never saw a dog or and I didn't see any gurneys.
Yeah, and they were explaining why dogs weren't out, but there could have been a dog. I didn't see a dog. Huh.
This is not the suspect. And then I've had that in reverse where I've had a witness come in and I'm taking a statement from them and I'm going, this is really a great witness. Oh my gosh. And then I get about 3/4 through it and I realize I'm not talking to a witness. I'm talking to the suspect. And then the whole scope of the interview starts to change. So it is very, these investigations, any homicide investigation, but this one in particular, they're always very fluid. And you do not, it's kind of the old Ronald Reagan adage about the USSR, trust but verify.
I think in this case, Joe, I think it's going to be very important for them to build a broad picture of normalcy in that community, what happens on a daily basis in and around that house in that community, so that they can then look for the minute things that were different on that night at that time. And it's been a month now. You'd be so surprised. I know Phil backed me up on this. It's been a month. Life has probably pretty much gone back to normal. People will, within a month, they will go back to doing their regular routine and they'll think about what happened, but they're not going to close the curtain on when they take a shower any more than they did, before the murders happened. So they could look at the broader scope of what was going on in that community before, what's going on now, and then look for minute changes in the behavior in and around that house. And they might be able to see something. The problem with that is that it's that house, as we saw in that video that was just released. I mean, they were having a party and nobody was even there that lived there in that house. So, but again, that may be a detail.
Turn out that one of the surviving roommates was in the house. It's not clear whether she was living in the house at the time, but that is a detail. But I know people will come at us, so I just want to clarify that. Phil, since there was a show basically named after you called The Interrogator, let's. I promise you, we're getting to viewer questions and comments, but these guys are so interesting. Hypothetical here, Phil. You get someone you think is a suspect in this case, and you're in the interrogation room. Take us into the mind of Phil Waters. How do you lead the suspect in a line of questioning to get him to crack? What is your technique now that you're retired? You can maybe share some of the secret sauce.
Well, I don't. Number one, I never liked the title of that show, The Interrogator, because that's not what I did. I was developing my skill in the art of the interview. Because just the word interrogation has a negative connotation to it. I mean, would you rather I interview you, Joel, or would you rather I interrogate you?
100%. But you're almost, if not equally, as much a psychologist as you are a detective. But I'm curious.
Well, there's a whole lot of components to the art. A general sense of my approach, and it was different every time. And this is what I would instruct in interview classes that I taught, is that body language, concentrate a whole lot on, but body language and the nonverbal signals and the verbal signals and those kinds of things, those are all the same. I mean, I don't care what interview school you go to, those are all the same. Now, they may call it something different just to attach some sort of new buzzword to whatever they're teaching. But I can tell you that the way I taught interviewing, the way I continue to teach interviewing, it's all about the attitude of the interview. So to answer your question about how would I approach, it would depend on who I am approaching, because it's not going to be the same for every person that I had in that interview. But what I always kept in mind is that, number one, life is always is all about relationships. From the minute you come out of that chute, the doctor hits you on the butt and says, welcome to the world, that's a relationship. And we go through life having relationships with people. Some of them may be shallow, some of them may be very deep, some may be in the middle there somewhere. But if you use the example of walking into a Walmart or a Target and you go up there and you buy your stuff, and you've got a clerk that's not, got up on the wrong side of the bed that morning, not really a happy person, not a very joyful person, and you go and you make your purchase, and you have a relationship there that only lasts a couple of minutes, but it's not your purchase. And you
self-defense courses once people go back, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, what was that? Hang on a second.
It was Santa. Merry Christmas, Shredder.
Hey, Shredder. I mean, they have a whole entire Twitter page.
Who it is? Oh, the incel.
What is this?
Gross.
Oh, corn on the cob. All right, this is day 52 of me throwing a random object at my roommate and him trying to guess what it is. Oh,
What?
that's a cantaloupe. No.
It's a cantaloupe.
Women are invisible. Ladies, you asked for this. We're just complying. Flirting, catcall, compliment, hug, joke, touching, little kiss, attention, staring, photo, drink number, grinding, grabbing, groping, unwanted, not okay.
So what did he say? That women ask for it?
No, that they don't want it.
Oh.
Whatever you guys do, don't cuddle with a girl. It's a manipulation tactic. I'm tipsy and I think about it sometimes. I paid her. It was an 18-year-old girl from Tinder. I got a taste of what roomies got, and it just terrible knowing I'll never get it again.
Well, with that attitude, you're not.
Wow. Interesting.
That's what that guy Joe's Twitter looks like with the sayings.
What the hell is this?
A terrific night. Delicious.
Oh my God! I thought it was like a cake, a foot cake, or whatever you want to call it.
That is crazy. Wow. Excellent. Oh, God. The world existed.
Mar, is your mic working?
You can't hear me?
I could kind of. I mean, no, you were breaking up.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay, one sec. So I wonder, I'm going to go to with that thing about the incels.me. They shut it down.
Maisha says, Tony, just try and use your brain. Huh?
Where is the full interview from Steve from 3 days ago? I think he was on CNN. I can only find a 2-minute. 1 second, let me pause this. That's scary. Hey, Misha. Why? Hey, Ray. Oh, I thought she was talking about me being related to her. Is there a longer?
I think
Is there
they're
a?
having a little dispute.
Oh, guys, no disputing in here. Is there a longer video to this than this 1.5-minute one from the CNN?
I haven't seen that one.
Public progress, right? At least that we're aware of. Steve, have you learned anything new that's given you new hope that they're making progress, or at least they're getting closer?
I'm glad that they're reaching out and they're asking for the community to look for this car. I didn't think it was in that town anymore, so they can only work in that county. So
Yeah.
sometimes you got to reach out.
And Shannon, how about from your perspective, either the Moscow police or who you expressed your doubts about, or the FBI, in any communications as a lawyer representing the family? Have you learned anything recently that gives you confidence that there's been some progress?
Well, I think Steve and I both, the family, feel like the community is going to solve this crime. And I think the more that they ask the community to help and reach out to them, I think the better the investigation will move forward. And that's why some of our questions in the past have been not reaching out to the community, I think, soon enough. So hopefully moving forward, they'll be able to get the resources that they need and move forward and solve this crime. So,
Steve, finally, do you believe they will find your daughter's killer?
Yes, I have to. I couldn't sleep if I thought. I'm trying to do everything in my power to help them, and we're trying to collaborate with them.
Okay. Where is the
allowing cars?
Where is the full video to that?
I haven't seen that video.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it, but first let me show you this quick video that I watched earlier on you'll see what I'm saying. One sec. It was actually interesting. A little scary. A little scary.
Oh, I think Drip Drop has a new one out.
Yeah.
I think it might have been one that I missed.
I'm not gonna watch that one. 1 second.
And don't ask what it's about because I don't remember.
Okay. Okay. Here it is. This was interesting. Oh, I'm gonna find the community of incels in Moscow and just see who's in there. I'm gonna have to make a fake identity.
Extremism online is growing. Homeland Security is warning that online extremist forums are encouraging copycat attacks, but it's also changing.
We're going to see an acceleration of a fusion and a merger of different kinds of ideologies.
The internet is spawning dangerous new subcultures in ever more fluid ways.
More and more male hatred against women is rising up through the hidden crevices of online forums and entering real life,
with fatal consequences.
At least 10 people have been killed. This is a pattern of behavior that should be intercepted.
Authorities are struggling to keep up with this new face of violent extremism.
Governments are not nimble enough to evolve at the speed at which the online ecosystems are evolving.
Can tech innovation help to prevent the next mass shooting?
Crazy.
Why do you think sexual assaults and all these things keep rising? Women don't need men no more.
Trigger warning.
This man, Jake Davison, went on a violent rampage in 2021 in his home city of Plymouth in Britain.
Police received several calls at 6:11 reporting a man firing a gun close to Biddick Drive.
Davison murdered his mother before fatally shooting 4 others and then himself. The 22-year-old had links to an online community known as incels. Incels are mostly young men who define themselves as involuntarily celibate and often blame women for their own inability to form sexual relationships.
You talk about intelligence, smartness, women don't give a about none of that unless you got that.
Incels often share deeply misogynistic content.
See, guys, not only are we a crazy Chisme Kaz and myself, but we're also putting out some interesting education right now because I did not know that this world exists. And After I heard about this world and dug into it, and then Chisme told me today about Joe being in this population of Moscow, I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm learning.
What, babe?
I said I'm learning about it too. I didn't know
Me
about
too. Yeah,
The
me
heck?
neither. I mean, I knew there were incels, but I didn't know. I mean, no, it was kind of like almost like a cult.
Women on platforms and
Yeah.
forums such as Reddit, Discord, Twitch, and others. Davison was active on multiple subreddit forums.
It's likely that this is an individual who was radicalized online. Would this have happened without the internet? That's hard to say. But if we think of two key indicators for involvement in the incel community, which is isolation and high dosages of online content, I have a huge concern that we will see increased membership in this community and increased potential for violence as a result of that.
In 2021, researchers began analyzing almost 1.2 million posts linked to incel content and sites. Over an 18-month period, they found a 59% increase in terms and code words relating to mass murders. Since 2014, at least 9 perpetrators of fatal attacks, mostly in America, are known to have consumed incel-related content. And in Britain, Dr. Caitlin Reger now advises the police on this threat.
From a law enforcement point of view, we need to stop the lone wolf narrative. We need to acknowledge that this is a pattern of behavior that should be monitored and intercepted.
Incel ideology is part of a wider problem in the digital sphere. It's well established that the internet is the primary incubator for dangerous and often bizarre new ideas and groups. But these keep growing and evolving online in ever more fluid ways.
Coleman said he believed his children were going to grow into monsters and that he had to kill them after he was enlightened by QAnon and Illuminati conspiracy theories. He says he was also having visions and signs that his wife had serpent DNA and passed that DNA on to his children.
What I'm looking at here is a threat bulletin that we share with law enforcement partners, local prevention activists, and others.
Ross Frennett is the CEO of Moonshot, a company which monitors violent extremism of all kinds online.
Al-Qaeda had a really clear worldview, a set of ideas. Many neo-Nazi movements have texts that they've been calling back to for generations. These kinds of emerging social movements, ideologies, don't have that.
Moonshot has tracked how the internet has lowered the barriers to creating new violent subcultures and groups.
Violent extremism in a pre-internet age needed a certain critical mass. That bar has been significantly lowered. So you don't need that many individuals to feel like you're part of a movement. For too long, online chatter has been dismissed somewhat by folks who just see it as something that takes place on the internet and doesn't affect the real world. And we've now seen without any doubt that that just is not the case.
It's not just the creation online of niche communities such as incels which is a concern. The bigger problem is how the internet enables these communities to morph and intertwine with larger extremist movements, in particular alt-right and far-right groups.
Looking at the incels' relationship with far-right, we know there is some overlap in the ideologies. Both talk about a sort of mythical golden age, long gone in the past, where things were different to what they are today. All these kind of narrative structures appear in both.
I think that over the next 10 years, what we're going to see is an acceleration of the fusion and a merger of different kinds of ideologies and different kinds of movements.
The British government's counter-radicalisation programme, PREVENT, categorises these kinds of ideologies as mixed, unstable, or unclear. Between 2016 and 2021, referrals to PREVENT categorised in this way increased significantly. By March 2021, this category accounted for over half of all annual referrals. A sharp increase from 2016, when the vast majority of referrals were linked to radical Islam.
The reason we're seeing more of this ideological overlap or cross-pollination, if you will, largely stems from the shifting ways in which we're using the internet. So if you look at young people...
I had no idea that this was going on.
I didn't either.
Wow.
Nowadays, quite often these ideas permeate into other communities. So for example, a lot of extremist ideas are being shared on gaming platforms. We quite often hear now gamers referring to other people as being a chat, which is a term that originated within incel spaces.
This is a really powerful tool. And what's key here really is the threat posed by harmful conspiracy theories.
Analysts monitoring new forms of violent extremism online point to another key factor: the capacity to share false and conspiratorial information instantly and endlessly.
Across the whole of the US, after the Buffalo terror attack, in which a white supremacist killed 10 people at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York, we saw over 1,000% increase in searches for the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, a conspiracy theory that was referenced quite closely by the attacker in his manifesto.
The proliferation of extremism is also being encouraged by the normalization of hateful content on mainstream platforms. Every day in 2020, humans collectively spent 1 million years on social media, where it's not unusual for videos like this to be widely shared.
Fat, ugly, sack of shit. I've never seen a woman try and do anything competently.
Andrew Tate is a former reality TV star, infamous for his misogynistic views. As of September 2022, #AndrewTate content on TikTok has been viewed more than 17 billion times. And he amassed millions of followers before being suspended in August 2022 by almost all platforms.
This content is not necessarily that niche anymore, but rather it is being saturated into youth culture more generally. It might be a funny meme someone puts up on their Facebook feed that you maybe knew in high school. It's through the higher dosages that people become indoctrinated. The content really starts to permeate off screens and onto streets.
For those in the business of tackling the threat from violent extremism online, keeping ahead of the enemy is a challenge. One hope for turning the tide is designing technology to intercept individuals at scale before they succumb to online radicalization. In 2016, Moonshot designed something called the redirect method with Jigsaw, a part of Google. Google searches for some violent content are met with links to curated material, including links to psychological help and support.
We bought up the advertising space and tried to entice and encourage those who are trying to access extremist material to instead consume material that undermines those extremist movements. At its core, harnessing ad tech to counter terrorism is what the redirect method is all about.
I'm going into the dark web for this.
There are some encouraging signs. Moonshot has found that Americans consuming extremist or violent content online are at least 47% more likely than average to take up offers of mental health services online. But measures like this are a long way from reaching the required scale. For now, the fight against violent extremism in the digital world is buffering.
Extremists have always been about 3 steps ahead of those trying to stop them. That shift needs to take place where we take this seriously as a national security threat, because if it doesn't, then this problem is going to be one we're dealing with for a very, very long time.
Hello, I'm Tom Standage, Deputy Editor at The Economist. If you'd like to learn more about this topic, click on the link opposite. And
Is that just crazy?
That's real crazy. I never knew. It's very informative.
Oh,
I
I
found
am definitely digging into this.
I have the name of the one in Moscow. It's
Can you? Did you Google it? So
I just now got it. I went back and
Google it.
well, I'm gonna tell you first. It's called
No,
MG.
Google it and share your screen, and then you can tell us about it.
I haven't. Okay.
Yeah, you can handle that. I want to watch this real fast.
But
I
don't
have
want
not
to.
heard it. Huh? What she said, girl?
Nothing, Mama.
What if you don't want to? Huh.
Just kidding. Because
I'm
I don't.
sure
It's gonna
most
take me forever,
of
but
you
I'm
have
doing
seen
it.
this video. I have not, but this is about the roommate that used to live in the house talking about how you can hear everything.
Now to new details on the murder of 4 students at the University of Idaho. The campus is shutting down for the holidays with the killer still on the loose. And we're getting a new look at the so-called party house where the victims lived and hearing from one student who once lived there. Andrew Dimbert has the latest. Good morning to you, Andrew.
Good morning, Will. So we're getting some new insight into that gruesome crime scene and the house where the murders took place. We're now learning that police spoke with one of the victims on the phone about 2 months before the killings as part of a noise complaint. This morning, as authorities search for the killer of 4 University of Idaho students, newly surfaced body cam footage showing a police-involved incident at their home 2 months before they were killed.
No one that lives here is here right now.
So where'd they go?
They're just not here. I have no clue where they went. No clue.
Authorities seen responding to a noise complaint in September, greeted by people who didn't live at the house. Officers then speaking with Maddie Mogan, one of the victims, by phone, who along with the other residents was not there at the time.
What's your first name? Maddie?
It could be. Maybe.
And how do you spell that, Maddie?
My legal name is Madison. It's Madison.
The video showing how many outsiders were able to access the property. And as the mystery grows over how the killer was able to get away unnoticed, a former student who graduated in 2022 and lived at the same house during his junior year talks about his experience there.
It's definitely an old creaky house. You can't walk up any of the stairs or on any of the floors without everybody in the house knowing it.
Cole Alternator says the building doesn't offer much privacy and was well known to students.
A lot of students are very familiar with the inside of the home around the community. There have been thousands of people that have likely been through it throughout the years. Even when we had it, there were people that would come and knock on the door or walk in thinking that it was somebody else's house.
Now, as the school closes for winter break, the house and campus quiet. But police say their search for the killer will not slow down.
We're going to continue to push through the holidays. We have a team that will continue to do the investigation and work on that as we move through the holidays.
As the investigation continues and still no suspects named, police are apparently looking for a white car seen near the house the night of the killings. At the very least, authorities believe the people inside the car may have important information about this still unsolved quadruple homicide. Whit.
All right, Andrew, thank you.
You know what else I'm tired of? Hang on, guys. Hang on, I got a cough. Gosh. Okay. You know what else I find interesting is how people keep bringing up the cars in the parking lot at the house, the cars in the parking lot September 21st, the white Hyundai there. Don't you think all of those cars have been found and accounted for? I just don't get why people keep trying to dig for more suspects. And Jack in the truck, and then the truck was seen driving by that night.
Oh yeah, white truck.
I think no, brown or black, I think, and it resembled Jack's, and then Jack with the picture of Murphy. That's the only thing that still throws me off. Is if it's like a psycho coming in the house, killing 4 people, but you put the dog away.
Yeah, but they noticed a white truck today when they're walking by and they're talking. There's a white truck that's behind them, that parks behind where they just walked, and they're saying that Adam has a white truck, and I looked it up, and the only thing I can find is on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I just don't feel it's any of them. Okay. This one is actually an old video, but I found it interesting. And then I want to play this guy that gets into the head of serial killers, and then we'll wrap it up. So this
All
one
right,
goes,
let's turn to James Fitzgerald.
excuse me, lady, I'm still talking. This was
It wasn't
actually
me.
4 weeks ago. What'd you say, Chiz?
Well, I have it ready. Man, the name of that group.
Google it.
I did. I have it ready for you.
Oh, okay. I'll pull your yeah, so go ahead and share it and I'll pull it up.
He's a retired FBI criminal profiler and forensic linguist who worked on high-profile cases, including finding the Unabomber. He's also the author of A Journey to the Center of the Mind. I can have a better, more experienced guest for this story, this very tragic story. What are your instincts telling you about this case?
My instincts are telling me that after almost 2 weeks of this investigation being undertaken by the victimology so far, that is the backgrounds of the individual victims, Madison, Ethan, Kaylee, and Xana, have not brought about any fruitful investigative leads for them. And that's bothersome because automatically you were thinking of an ex-boyfriend or someone that maybe Ethan had a fight with or something like that. But apparently that inner circle has been resolved, or at least no further investigations are involving that. So now the police investigators have to go into the outer perimeter of this investigation, look at pizza delivery people, look at Uber drivers, things like that. So, but that's only if it's a personal connection to this crime. I'm leaning in that direction at this point, but boy, after 2 weeks, you think some lead would have come up. I'm not ruling out the incel factor, that is involuntary safety, and that is kind of a subculture within our country of mostly younger men who feel they're not dating the kind of women they would like to date. And while most of them, the vast majority, are not violent, some do have violent ideation, and they do want to carry out threats and actually take actions against people. Is it possible they saw the young women here as Stacy's? That's the nickname for attractive women, or the young man Ethan as a Chad? That's something that I know the
They have code names. Stacy is the code name for an attractive girl. I'm telling you, I learn something every day.
Yep.
Wow.
behavioralists are looking into all the online footprints of those type people. Or could it be a sexual sadist who travels the country and does some of these things elsewhere, including the one in Oregon that we talked about? These are some of the factors that the investigators right now, Rachel, are looking at.
So what is the profile for somebody who kills in this manner?
Hey,
well, I'm certainly leaning towards an adult male. It takes a lot. You know, shooting someone with a gun is one thing. You pull a trigger and that it's basically over and done with. But a knife wounding with a knife or killing with a knife is a whole different set of physical and emotional reactions. And times that by 4, as we have in this case, and you have a different kind of offender. People for years will say, well, Zodiac and Unabomber are the same people. No, Unabomber was a long-distance killer with the bombs. Zodiac was up close and personal with knives and some weapons. 2 different people. So this person, this offender, has a violent ideation about him. And although the crime itself is not that sophisticated, the 4 corners of the crime itself, let's face it, he used one of the oldest weapons available after a rock and a club. That is a sharp but now but how he got into how he perhaps a pre-offense behavior was how he explored perhaps the interior of the apartment, or had schematics about it, or actually was in there at other times. And of course, the post-offense behavior, getting away with this crime. He apparently left no fingerprints behind, no blood on his part, and no DNA. And there's some sophistication before and after the crime, even if the violent crime itself lacks some of that therein.
Wow, James Fitzgerald, so much to think about in this very troubling and disturbing crime. Thanks for joining us and giving experience. You have a lot of experience in this, and it's been very insightful. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here.
So what is that, like a Wikipedia for an incel group?
Yeah, that's all I could find. Because it was in that video, the one I sent you, that's where I heard about it. But anyway, it's called MGTOW, Men Going Their Own Way, MGTOW, is an anti-feminist. Are you ready for me to read it?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. It's an anti-feminist, misogynistic, mostly online community advocating for men to separate themselves from women and from a society which they believe has been corrupted by feminism. The community is a part of the Manosphere, a collection of anti-feminist websites and online communities that also includes the men's rights movement, incels, and pickup artists.
Hey, Lady V, Merry Christmas. Huh. I think
It
tomorrow
says,
I'm gonna hop into the dark web, find the
yeah.
Moscow group too. Yeah,
Anyway,
well,
that's
not
basically
tomorrow. It's
what it
Christmas.
is.
Huh. Yeah, Twitter has it. I'll look into Redder. Redder. Hey, that's Twitter
Rhetoric.
and Redder mixed.
Hey, start a
Talk
new
about
one.
it.
But anyway, that
Hummingbird.
one guy, Joe, he mentions this on his social media.
Wait, is Hummingbird in here? No. Oh, Jess is talking about the bot. Oh, okay.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I saw that. We'll get into that. The next live that we do after Christmas, we'll dig and see if we can find the group that Joe's in and maybe find other people in that area that are in the group. But do you have anything else that you want to talk about on that?
No, just that he makes a lot of memes, regarding females, his dislike towards them.
Yeah, next live we'll do some research and we'll see what we can find. See if we can find any connection into Moscow. But I'm gonna end it with this video. It's very short.
Okay.
It's this guy right here. I'm trying to think if this guy might have been capable of being a serial killer. This guy is intense.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying that this guy is the the Idaho quadruple murderer is a serial killer. But honestly, do we really know? Like, what if he was an animal killer? Because we know that most of them started off killing cats. And Chisme, make a note of that. We need to look into that area around there in the surrounding towns of how many people's cats have gone missing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's important. No, Ray. We have a few things that we need to look into. But
Oh, I'm sorry, but I know why he said that, because did you see where that one guy's wearing the zip tie on the new video of the body cam? He's wearing zip ties.
I did hear about that, and I am going to check it out.
But I couldn't figure out why he was wearing them. But now I guess zip tie
I don't.
drinking thing.
Karen's asking if we think it's somebody in the frat. No, I think this is somebody who is in the town. I think he's in his late 20s, early 30s, and I think he's been watching probably Kaylee and Maddie both. Like, they're both beautiful. Why not watch them both on the top floor? And I think that maybe when Kaylee came back into town and this creeper saw her, and maybe it triggered him. And I think he went in there. I think he knew the house, the layout, probably from peeping in the damn windows. He could have been in there. But I think that maybe Ethan woke up considering he was found in the common area. And of course, then Xana's going to wake up. She has defense wounds. And then the guy leaves. I think he started from the top and he worked his way down. And I also believe he was already in the house when they got home. I think it was completely planned. It might have been planned, and then Kaylee left. And then when he saw her, something just went off in his mind. But this is only my opinion. Okay. After this, we're going to look at 4 o'clock in the morning. Jeez.
Quite a chilling
Tell
thing
us
to be
why.
aware of.
Tell us why.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I don't know what this is. I haven't seen it before, but I was scrolling through Twitter real fast to see if anything was new. And I don't know what James Wood is talking about, but let's just see. Oh, I shared the wrong page. Hang on. Well, I shared the video, but not the page with the full video. What is this? Oh. Oh, he's going back, so I'm not sure. James Wood and I would have solved the case in day one. This is why. Why hasn't Moscow, Idaho mass murder been solved? For the same reason that the FBI and FAA didn't act on Hollywood actor James Wood's August 1st, 2001 warning on the September 11th hijackers. What? What way? What was that warning James Wood solved the case? The FBI and FAA just wouldn't accept that solution. Help end in with a donation. What? We're coming to Moscow, Idaho for a press conference and Twitter live stream. I'm confused.
And interviews. In August 2001, actor James Woods was on a flight from Boston to Los Angeles when he observed some Middle Eastern passengers acting strangely. He told authorities what he saw, and the FBI has apparently corroborated that it may have been a dry run for the 9/11 hijackers.
I was on a flight. Without going into the details of what made me suspicious of these four men, although it would have been blatantly obvious to the most casual observer, I took it upon myself to go to the flight attendant and ask to speak to the pilot of the plane. The first officer came out. I reported to him that I felt that the four men,
Hang
and
on, guys.
level of government, believe it or not, just through a coincidence, through a mutual friend, that all four of them, that guys who are undercover or on a mission, have.
Okay, you're nuts.
Pay attention to heat. I mean, I don't explain. I don't.
All right, hang on a second. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh. Ugh, I gotta stop this. I'm so dug into this hole. What's going on with this one? Oh. Okay, let's just check this out, and then that's it. I gotta go to bed. Oh, we saw that already. It was the screenshots that we read. All right, I'm done. Oh, hello, Jennifer. All right, everyone have a fabulous Christmas.
Merry
Enjoy your
Christmas.
friends and family. And keep your baby safe, guys, and stay vigilant. Everyone, thank you for coming in. Chisme, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. All right, guys. I think that's it.
Here comes Santa Claus.
He's coming. All right. Let me get 1 second. All right, guys. Have a wonderful Christmas.